Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy episode 614. I might have said last episode it was 614.
You did.
This is 614. My name is Ryan Higgins, and this is the Comic Conspiracy episode 614 for the week of Monday, May 20th, 2024. And we have a special guest joining us this week. We'll get to them in a second. But first, for the regulars, who's here?
Rock Sager.
Toby.
Lane.
Lane is here. And finally, the people have demanded it.
Nobody's demanded it.
Drum roll.
One of the most important events in human history has occurred. So, of course, we must have the man, the myth, the legend back on the podcast once again. Who's here from the great northwestern state of Oregon. Oregon.
Hey guys, it's Bryce Larsen.
Holy crap!
no.
It's Bryce.
He's alive!
What the
Yeah.
fuck?
Bryce is back. He did it. He did it. Now, Bryce.
Yeah.
Because you are here and you are back on this podcast, that means there's only one thing that we're here to talk about, okay? And that, of course, is Jurgen Klopp leaving Liverpool and Anfield for the final time on Sunday. Where should the statue go and how big should it be? That is a question on everyone's mind for the next 3 hours. We'll be talking, of course, about legendary Liverpool skipper Jurgen Klopp, and of course Arne Slot, the incoming manager. So I'd like to get all your opinions on this.
Shoot me now.
So.
Yeah, no, I think that they should put the statue right outside of my house so that he comes and visits it from time to time, and I can get a big old Jurgen Klopp hug.
See, Toby should love him because he's German, right? Toby loves Germans, so Toby loves Germany. So,
famously, loving
your favorite manager.
Toby Sidler absolutely loves the Nightcrawler. Favorite X-Men of Toby's, I believe. Yeah.
Unfortunately, our Liverpool podcast may have to wait till another night.
God,
Bryce. Yeah. We'll catch
It
up.
was nice
We'll catch
finding
up
you,
on
Bryce. It's good seeing you again.
We'll catch up on the season soon. No, we are here to talk about X-Men 97. We threatened to get you on for the finale because me and Toby haven't talked about it, I think, really since it started. We're waiting for you.
Well,
absolutely
Ryan,
go.
That's because you fucking weren't watching it on time.
I was.
No, you weren't.
I mean, I saw them.
I was like, did you watch it yet? You're like, no, not yet. I'm like, and then 2 days later, I'm like, did you watch it yet? And you're like, no, but here it's good. And I was like, fucking watch it.
What, the finale?
No, episode 5, bitch.
No. I watched that the next day. No, it came out on Wednesday. I'm at the store on Wednesday. I watched it the next day.
I remember waiting. I probably even have to text that. Let me read you. I'll go find it.
I'm pretty confident I watched it the next day.
Bullshit. I'll find this.
Bullshit?
Carry on. I'll find it, and I'll read it on the fucking podcast live.
I did not wait too long for that one.
There was one episode that I couldn't wait to get to the next episode, and that was, I guess maybe we'll go through them, but man, episode 5 hit me hard like a Jurgen Klopp departure.
Did you cry?
To be honest, there were multiple parts of this season. I don't think I actually physically shed a tear, but it was the closest I've gotten to as a
Leclerc?
As a probably, not sure what that means, but it's probably very clever. I after I became a father, I didn't cry for a couple decades, and then I became a father, and I cry anything. I mean, half the Disney movies. Anytime you see another adult man crying, I just lose it all. I was crying when Jurgen Klopp left. There was a couple moments during this series where I got a little choked up, but I don't think. Even that scene in episode 5, I don't think that I actually physically shed a tear, but I was very close many times.
Oh, I guess I will. I'll say full spoilers here for X-Men 97. So no, we could say whatever we
full
want.
Spoiler, big time.
What I want to do though is you are. I mean, of course, most of us in some regard are fans of the X-Men, but you are our kind of you and Charlie are X-Men experts, right?
Famously the biggest cable fan on the team.
Yeah, and you have actually, I should say you have been buying all the recent X-Men comics. I'm curious how current you are on them.
Next question.
Well, no, because these things go hand in hand. Like how we're at the end of the Krakoa era.
Yeah.
And X-Men 97 really kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, obviously we knew it was going to happen, but I think expectations were extremely low.
Yeah.
What's your feeling been on the comics? Then now to the reboot happening, and then to X-Men 97 is like, we're kind of these major throwbacks back to the classic, just that 90s take that I think, that a lot of us here grew up on.
Well, okay, so I will definitely not admit, since I'm the biggest X-Men fan on the team, that I'm about 6 months behind in reading. But I will.
It's probably a lot. That's a lot further, or it's a lot further along than most of us are, I think, for the X-Men books.
Yeah, I just finished. I forget what the story arc after Sins of Sinister was, so I'm a good ways behind. But I've been loving the comics still. It hits different than when than in the 90s when you're young. I mean, I've been reading X-Men books now for the past 3 or 4 decades, not 4 decades, but the past at least 3 decades. And it hits different when you're a teenager and even when you're in your 20s. And I'm sure that some of our listeners can appreciate when you got other responsibilities in life as your kids are getting older and older. You don't have as much time for reading, sitting down and getting a lot of time to read. Job responsibilities in real life also picking up steam. So lots of Liverpool to watch. So anyway, I'm behind in the comics, but what this, and we'll get to it, but what this show captured so well for me was they didn't try to do anything revolutionary, futuristic with the animation. It was a perfect sweet spot, I thought, between like advancing the animation along, but keeping it honest to how the original animation was. Nothing too crazy in terms of futuristic techniques that they used with the animation or CGIing it too much.
What I've told people, and I know a bunch of people that work the video game industry, and this is kind of a common thing there, and I feel like they took the same approach where, when they do a lot of these 3D, these like 2D, 3D games that they do now, and like the retro remakes and things like that, right? And so it's not that you're making it look exactly like it did on the Super Nintendo. They're not making this look exactly like it did. In 92, but this is what it felt like when we were kids watching it. It really felt like this is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
This is one of the best. And you look back at it now, and I said this in the previous episode we were talking about, is the animation in the original X-Men animated series is objectively poor, right? It had great character designs.
Yeah.
They were extremely comic accurate. The show was really accurate to the comics as far as any of these things go.
Yep.
That there's a the quality was a little rough. X-Men probably was the best of the Marvel cartoons. I'd say that and Spider-Man as far as animation goes.
Yeah.
But that's not saying a lot because they were Saturday morning mass produced, American animation in the 90s, which was not that's not a great state.
Yeah.
But there was they felt right. And this takes that and keeps the style, keeps the visuals of it, but updates it to today, but doesn't try to make it look like it's a brand new show.
Yeah.
It still looks, it has some of those old designs. It has all the old designs. And there are points where I'm like, they could have made this look maybe technically better, but it would not look accurate.
Yeah.
Right? You agree? That makes sense?
Yeah. So I absolutely love, and I agree. And I feel like both shows had the same, like, maybe heart. I'm sure this has, more heart just because they dredged it up from the bowels of history to give it a fresh coat of paint and then some. But they didn't go too crazy. I love how they reference probably not 100, but they reference so many things that, like, remember when X, Y, and Z happened, and it's like from an episode that you saw. I went back and rewatched the whole original series, and you're right. Like, it's everything is so accurate, and they have so many deep cuts that, like, you could just easily miss. But the animation was kind of rough. But you watch it because it's got all the characters that you love, and you're like a kid in the 90s, and you're just like, this is the greatest thing that has ever been on television ever, until X-Men 97 came out. And yeah, I mean, they could have done a whole lot more, but they kept so many things, like, that I think did such a great job of going to the, like, the next level in every department, but not trying to go like, this is a whole new show. I mean, to your point, that it was, it's a literal successor. It's a spiritual successor. They did so many things right that I could talk about for, this entire episode and more. But yeah, I mean, they didn't try to reinvent the wheel. They just said, hey, we got a good oval here. Let's make it an even better wheel.
Yeah, I think what basically in every episode, there were some things that could have been fleshed out a little bit more. They really ran through some of these comic stories pretty quick. But
I mean, okay, yeah, keep going.
Well, this is the problem we have, right? God, there was I saw this tweet years ago. I'm going to kind of butcher it, but it was something like, back in the day, there'd be a TV show called Surfing Dracula, and it would open with him surfing, and every episode would be about Dracula surfing. Today, Surfing Dracula would be this 12-episode miniseries where it's like he doesn't even surf till the final episode, right? I mean, you understand, right? This is the joke.
Yeah.
X-Men 97, I appreciate the fact that it was just like, no, we're going to do fucking the Goblin Queen in an episode.
Yeah, okay, so I take your point with Goblin Queen. I think back, and I was thinking back of the stories that they already covered in the original series, right? Phalanx Covenant was probably like a year long in real life, and they did it in like 2 episodes. The Phoenix Saga was like a decade.
Couple years, but they did it in 5, right?
Well,
this Phoenix Saga.
Well, they had
Phoenix.
They had the Phoenix, and then they had the Dark Phoenix. As separate. So I think it was about 7 episodes between the 2 stories. Yeah. But how long did that last in real life? All the Phoenix drama.
40 issues. Yeah. So yeah, it's like 5 years.
Okay.
Call it 4. Yeah. Call it 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I mean, what I guess. So they covered. What did they cover here? They covered E for Extinction, obviously OZT, Life Death. Life Death was that only 2 issues, even though it took place over like 8 or 10 episode or 8 or 10 issue.
Yeah. The Storm Gambit or the Storm Forge stuff that ran in the background for a while. The specific Life Death was, I think, just a 2 issue.
I think so too.
But that story ran for a while. But no, they combine this stuff into.
But I absolutely take your point with Inferno, which is probably like a year-long comic story ish, and it was to your point, one episode. So they could have fleshed that out. But
here's what I liked about this. They actually drew from the comics. This has been the major failing of all the recent Marvel stuff. Where they're like,
what failing Marvel stuff?
What
failing Marvel stuff?
Everything post Endgame, like almost everything post Endgame. They're just like, nah, we're just going to make all of this random shit up and have no connection to the comics and just do our own thing. And the stories, go, like when you have the path created for you for the comic. I don't care if you adapt it and you change it and you do new stuff. And I don't care if it's a little bit, I care if it's very different. But you've got to draw something from the comics. They don't even bother anymore. They're like, well, maybe we'll use the name.
They were just pulling names.
It's a random. Let's open up the who's who, and we'll grab one random name. And sure, it's the name. We don't even care about the powers of
Secret Invasion, right?
Oh, I don't want to talk about Secret Invasion. I actually want to change us back to X-Men because I can't talk about Marvel since Endgame for a lot of it has been It was good timing. Me moving up to Oregon. It was good timing.
But that's what I mean, right? It's like they drew not only that was my original fear was the show was going to be like kind of bad and cheesy, and they'd missed the point of the original show.
Wasn't the hype? So
they didn't. It was great.
Okay, so for listeners that don't know me, I'm very annoyingly no spoilers. No, don't. I'm mostly not on. Basically, I'm not on Twitter. I don't. So I knew nothing about the show going in.
Yeah,
nothing
you
at
obviously
all.
also didn't listen to the podcast because we're all like, can we just let him know that the show is on? Does he not even know it exists? Does blow your fucking mind?
Even I didn't miss this. I still watch all the Marvel stuff.
Okay.
It's been a rough couple of years, but no, I mean, I wasn't gonna miss this. I went and rewatched. I mean, it was a rough rewatch. I mean, that's like tens of hours of my life. That some of those episodes I'm not going to get back, but some of them from the original '90s X-Men were so good, and it was like, oh yeah, dude, all right, this is good. But yes,
yeah. Oh, I loved the original series.
In terms of like it holding up, versus I don't even know 13, 15-year-old Bryce, however old I was, versus now. Like they were definitely just like churning it out, and they had a product because like at that time, I don't know, I haven't looked into the history, but Marvel Animation was like brand new, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So like
for that, yeah, it was different. Yeah.
So I mean, like, yeah, there was some definitely rough spots, but they did such a tremendous job with it, and this show is just like hold my beer. I can do this, so much better. Because this one actually had like really good writing, and I love they got all like so much of the voice cast was the same, and even the ones that were different like paid really good homage to the original voice cast.
Yeah, Cyclops to me sounds identical, and it's a different guy.
Yeah,
but it that's what it sounded like. I'm like that just sounds exactly like the guy in the original. Maybe it doesn't, but I'm like in my brain it does.
Yeah, I didn't look it up till after the show ended. Who was the same and who was different? And it's crazy because I was trying to play a game with myself of like, okay, are they the same or are they different? And I got like I got half of them wrong, and it was the wrong half. And but so good. I think that. I expected them to burn through more stories, going back to the whole like how many stories that they were gonna go through. I mean, they kind of only went through the Operation Zero Tolerance, E for Extinction. I don't think that. I mean, Life Death is sort of like I'm surprised it even made it to screen, but it was such a beautiful story. The Motendo, I don't even think was that even a story.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Didn't think so.
And like the first episode was kind of its own little put together thing, but
by the way,
that's fine.
When you guys like sitting down to watch it, not knowing what to expect after seeing all of the original X-Men episodes, were you guys not just like absolutely floored by that Sahara Desert scene with Bolivar Trask for the first episode?
Oh yeah. Oh well, no, that we talked about I think it was the first two had been on when we talked about it. I was like, man, if you are a Cyclops fan, you have been redeemed. He fucking kicks ass in that first episode.
But also Storm, and also
to
Magneto, and
but I mean, Storm and Magneto always have like great scenes. Cyclops gets the shaft a lot.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Yeah,
but like
he's like all zipping around, and like blasting himself around that warehouse scene and stuff. I'm like,
birds.
Holy smokes!
Yeah, Sunspot getting a ton of love. I loved that.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the characters were great. We have Thirst Trap Gambit just showing off his awesome T-shirt.
Well, so let's talk about that because Toby messaged. And I had, what was that, episode 4 or 5? That was 5, right? The one where he dies.
Whoa!
Spoilers!
I said spoilers.
Yeah, the one that he dies is episode 5. Yeah.
Okay. I have something to read to you guys. Ryan is partially correct in his watching of the episode. So April 11th at 1:12 a.m. I text him, so episode 5 ?
Yeah, that's when it came on, right? Like you watched it when it was like on at midnight.
I actually do not know, but April 11th at 7:25 a.m. Lots of laughs. I haven't seen 4 or 5 yet. Everyone's telling me I'll love it.
Oof.
Oh, so that's Thursday. Thursday.
April 11th at 6:44 p.m. Watch episode 5 yet? at April 11th at 10:06 p.m. I saw it. Holy crap!
Okay, so I hadn't seen 4, but then I watched 4 and 5 on Thursday. Yeah. Because at the store, like everyone, this was the most I've seen someone, people. It probably has been since Endgame or maybe Spider-Man, the third one. Like I've had people come in to be like, "Have you seen this? Have you seen this?" Like everyone that was coming in Wednesday asking me if I'd seen that episode yet. Yeah, that like pulled from obviously the Morrison stuff, but did its own thing with it, right? And I love that. Again, I don't need it to be exactly the same. I don't need Ryder Xavier's and
it's really weird. I really liked it in the X-Men, but when the DC to direct to DVD movies did it, like on like say the Hush and some of the other stuff, I didn't quite like it because I didn't think it was actually better. Like if the changes are like a little more thought out or for the better, and I'm not saying that they didn't do that in some of the DC stuff, but I didn't really quite like the little changes in the DC direct to DVD movies.
I think especially recently they've been a little subpar.
Okay.
A couple of the recent ones I've seen, I thought is okay,
but no, that's specifically in regards to like adapting it and changing certain things, right? So I really like what they did here.
Well, yeah, I mean they have they have a story to tell, and they're taking bits from the comics and sort of mixing them together and putting it in, but it all blends together to one story. I mean, over the course of 50, 60 years, you're going to repeat a lot of topics. You're going to repeat a lot of story arcs. So you can take something like, the destruction of Genosha and Magneto on trial, right? I mean, if we had the Claremont Byrne love already, that's been beaten to death. The second half, the second arc of Claremont, the 175 to like 225, like that arc, like that, Byrne's been gone for a while, and now like Claremont's going off and doing new stuff. Like they don't really touch on that stuff too often. We got a little bit of House and Powers because they kind of have like the Hellfire Gala, but they kind of it's just sort of part of it. They don't really they're not really getting into the whole Krakoa stuff, but I mean just being able to pull from a couple different places and doing it accurately, but then making kind of remixing it and making your own story. That's how you do this type of thing, and I just love that they were I can point out and go, oh, I know what that's from. But then, this is a change. This is something different. This is something new.
Scott called me when he finally caught up. And it was like weeks later. He called me randomly and he was like, I need to talk to someone. I just caught up. Holy shit, man.
Yeah, it was so good. And I think that's another thing that made it so next level compared to the original series was that they were great they had arcs, but there wasn't really like much that carried over from season to season that I can recall, and I just watched it, unless I'm forgetting something. But like this entire 10 episode was like a big arc, like really well-made TV shows will have like, the series has an arc, but each season has its own arc, and then within it you have smaller 1 or 2 or 3 episode arcs within that. So it's whatever the Russian doll name is, but
sure.
But I mean, covering the trial of Magneto all the way through. The Executioner was in there, no Executioner's song, just the Executioner.
Mm-hmm.
I was certain they were going to bring in Cassandra Nova.
When they destroyed Genosha.
Well, yeah.
Well, but I mean, I think that's that's what I mean, right? Is they didn't do that entire story. They're like, well, let's take this part of it and let's go, a different way with it. But
yeah, you're right. I was certain because in the original series they have a lot of the villains they like keep coming back to, right? They keep coming back to Magneto, Mr. Sinister, Apocalypse. They had Sabretooth in a handful. They had Juggernaut in I think 2 or 3. But for that was
they go to Savage Land for a while, right?
They had way more Sauron than Sauron's in the actual books. I'm shocked that to this day I don't think they've ever done arcade, and that was a big, not a big part, but that was a significant part of Claremont, of Claremont's run. I mean, there's your Motendo episode, like
that's basically arcade. They used Mojo. So
anyway, I was certain just to get away from Apocalypse or Sinister or Magneto, they were going to introduce Cassandra Nova just as another, hey, we can have her in like a couple episode thing, but it didn't come to pass. But like you said, I think that they did a very good job with it and tying it into the Operation Zero Tolerance storyline made perfect sense. And with the Sentinels being main protagonists main antagonists throughout the season, that allows for a lot more. Another thing that I loved was like it got like just a slight uptick more adult and taken seriously. Like there's a little bit of blood. There's a little bit of more mature content. They actually like reference the Nazis. I think that there's some lots of like sort of kinky stuff going on. I mean, I could name it.
Well,
we got to name it. But
you and Toby, this is your chance, man. For number 1 and number 2 Gambit fans. Well, you guys can have your therapy session right here.
I mean,
for both his death, or is he dead? We'll talk about the ending later.
I cannot tell you the rage that fills me that the last person that she hooked up with was Magneto. I am still consumed by rage over the fact
I think the second episode when Magneto's there and then she closes the door, I was like, oh, they're doing my boy so dirty. Yeah, I started hating Rogue. I was like, fuck you, Rogue.
Me too. When she walks out of Magneto's office and Gambit drops the card, my heart broke.
Yes.
Yes, I'm still not over it. I still feel so bad for our boy. And you know what? He didn't. He could have been a total D and made her guilt trip her about it or whatever. But he didn't. He was a gentleman, and you know what he got for it? Dead.
Yep.
But
man,
if that's how you're going out, if that's how you go out,
hold on.
There's a way to go out.
When they were doing Gambit 32, like I think that was second episode, and Ryan was like, hey, dude, the show is amazing. You loving it? I'm like, fuck no, I hate this show. He goes, are you serious? I'm like, 100%. I'm 100% serious. He goes, really? I'm like, yes, because they're doing him dirty.
I actually don't really even hate that that she's got a relationship with Magneto. I think that they actually never having mentioned that in the first series and then like bringing that up as a major love triangle here in this series is actually kind of cool because it happened. But I still don't have to like it. I still don't have to like that Gambit was on the receiving end of it. But no, I mean love triangles make for great story arcs. The death means more because just of the circumstances in which he went out. But by God, what a way to go out, man! That is like such a BA way.
Chef's kiss on how he goes out.
Absolutely, chef's kiss with the smirk and the
oh man,
everything turning purple.
To remember it. That line comes from one of the old episodes when he like is beating someone. He's like, the name's Gambit. Remember it.
Yeah, and it's the first or second episode.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
It's funny how bad I think Fox has dropped the ball on the X-Men in the movies in the last the back half of their I think First Class is pretty good, but past that they really Deadpool and Logan are very different things, so we'll discount those. But the main like X-Men movies, just everyone was worse than the previous, but by the end, and it's. X-Men fandom in general, the Krakoa stuff has not clicked with people. Salesman terrible.
Oh, really?
For this reboot for a long time. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I guess I'm curious about that. Yeah, I've been loving it, even though I'm behind. But
yeah, I mean, X-Men have always been popular, but this has been like a dark decade for the X-Men, really. And this show single-handedly has turned around X-Men fandom in a way that I don't know that I've ever seen happen with any of these comics. Like usually there's good and bad and people kind of just go up and down. X-Men fandom seems to have like really died off the last number of years. Just through the store, social media.
/ Disney was pushing hard to make it die off with like
right.
With doing the Inhumans as the fill-in mutants and all that. They worked hard on that.
That's what I mean. It has been like a really rough time. Even pre-House and Powers, the X-Men books were just not. Avengers and Spider-Man have been outselling them constantly, and they just, there was hope there for a second, but it just never really. They never really jumped back on the top of the flagship title for Marvel. The fandom had seemed pretty, quiet comparatively, and the X-Men fans are never quiet, especially on this podcast. But yeah, this I cannot tell you the turnaround, both in store, social media, and Marvel picked an absolute perfect time to restart the books to a little more of a classic lineup because they needed it bad.
Yeah, I mean, for so long I thought that they were just like. I'm not sure the expression is right. Killing the goose that laid the golden egg. Like they were just like willing to let it die because it wasn't owned by them. And I loved X-Men and I loved X2 and I guilty pleasure liked X3 and First Class was good. And then it just went down and down. Oh no, I liked Days of Future Past too. But then it just went down and down and down. And it's been tough. And like you said, Deadpool and Wolverine are doing their separate thing. But it has been. It's been tough. Like having to go through the absolute heyday of X-Men, in my childhood, and then have to sit through them trying to make Inhumans the new X-Men for a decade.
Marvel Comics clearly does not want to do this. This was corporate leadership. This was the head. Yeah. This was, the owner of Marvel being like, no, the FF and the X-Men. They're like, well, we can't kill the X-Men comics. They sell too well. But we don't really have to do anything with them. We'll promote everything else. But the FF doesn't sell either, so cancel the comic.
Yeah,
like that's from up on high, and they didn't have a choice.
Yeah,
which it's just especially for the Fantastic Four. The world's greatest comic magazine. It's the thing that started it all for Marvel, and to just be just canceled for years. Just such an embarrassment.
Yeah.
But I'm super happy for. Disney needed to win. Disney Plus needed to win. X-Men fans definitely needed it. Like, yeah, it's like this is the most I've cared about the X-Men in 20 years, right? It's pretty amazing that they were able to pull this off. And I think I clearly some people were excited, but I generally feel expectations were pretty low for this. Just kind of what Marvel Studios has done recently, and I don't know. What if? I know some people like it, but I don't. I don't think What If set the world on fire as far as like Disney Plus's animation. I think they. I don't know. I don't know if anyone here wants to jump in and defend it, but I don't recall some massive thing like, oh, this is the greatest Marvel animated series ever. What If was very subpar, I thought.
I don't know about subpar, but my vote would be very meh. I'm not sure subpar, but I would say very, very, very middling, very par. It gives you something that like it was cool, but nobody was really asking for. Like if they dropped it with less fanfare, I think it would have been going back to expectation setting. I think that if they've dropped it as like a almost like a surprise or with less fanfare, then people are like, oh, this is like super cool that they did this. But instead, it's like, hey guys, buckle up, get ready for this What If series. And then it came out, and it was kind of like, it's a What If, so it doesn't affect anything canonically, and it doesn't have any weight or impact. So
I didn't hear anything about season 2. I don't think anyone watched it.
I've not seen season 2.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
People are now like, we demand the return of the Marvel animated universe from the 90s. And look, it is X-Men. Spider-Man. Most people will agree Silver Surfer, while flawed, was a really good try and when worth it.
Yeah, the Avengers one.
Of a Fantastic Four, Iron Man, and Force Works. I have a sick love for that show, but it's terrible. The Fantastic Four cartoon's terrible. The Hulk cartoon's terrible.
Wait, but they were all shared universe back then, weren't they? All those
yeah. That's what I mean. So people like X-Men and Spider-Man. The rest, significantly less so.
They came along for the ride.
Yeah, sure. But like that Iron Man show, look, I have a sick love for that show, but it is awful, right? It is awful. But people are now like, no, bring them all back. Bring back that entire universe. We want them. X-Men was so good. Do this for everything. And like, Yeah,
I think you have a good call for Spider-Man. The rest, maybe a special or two.
Well, we had Iron Man and Cap were in this, right? And Cloak and Dagger, right? So they've had bits and pieces from the other shows. I did She-Hulk with. Did they show? They showed one of the Hulk characters in this, didn't they?
Yeah. So interestingly, in the original series, you guys might even know this already. Hulk was part of that deal with Universal where they couldn't mention Hulk, and so Hulk only shows up in the original animated series as credited as Gamma Robot or something like that. Large green Gamma Robot or something like that, and they don't actually ever name him Hulk, and he's only ever a robot in the Danger Room. But now, because that's all been sorted out, they're able to reference him in, I believe it was the Bright Eyes episode, which was number 7, when Rogue goes just totally insane, beast mode, and we get Thunderbolt Ross, and I had to check and see if the guy voicing him wasn't the dude from the Marvel Universe. I knew his name earlier, now I'm blanking on his name, but because Thunderbolt Ross sounds just like him. Anyway, and then he name checks that the bunker was built to enclose the Hulk, and they weren't allowed to use that name before. So that was pretty crazy. That was pretty cool.
So they're already setting up. This is in the Marvel animated universe, and we're gonna, Peter Parker and Mary Jane, they show up at
at the
split second at the very
in that final trilogy. I forget
episode.
which of the episodes it is, but
they're
and to your point, I mean, if I had to put money on whether Cloak and Dagger would show up in this series, I'll tell you, I was like not putting a lot of money on that one, but it was awesome that they did, and it was awesome how many cameos we got. A ton of cameos. Especially in, I believe it was episode 9, where Magneto reversed the polarity of their...
They used Morph very well for all the cameos.
Oh, Morph was fantastic. Morph was so much cooler than in the original show.
Yes.
Still, like, mischievous, but, like, turning into all these extra characters that they don't have time to, like, write parts for, but we still get to, like, see them. I mean, the number of cameos in this 10-episode thing was above and beyond like what any 10 episodes did in the original series.
Why is Psylocke hanging out with Alpha Flight? Who knows? But she is.
Yeah, that was weird.
Hey, there's Puck.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it was the twins, Puck, and then there was one other, and then Psylocke. But yeah, I didn't see that coming either. But yeah, I mean, Morph turning into Psylocke to go ape with her katanas. And then I forget who else he turned into. I think in that fight, in episode 2 or 3. But that would have been episode 2.
Well, it's so easy to do dumb cameos and these type of things.
Exactly,
but having just these endless number of humans turn into Sentinels, this is a worldwide threat. So we can show Daredevil taking down a bunch of people.
Yeah,
because it's in New York. It's where this shit's happening. You don't have to, but this is a case where the cameos actually kind of make sense and really work.
Yeah,
they're not gratuitous, right? Morph's powers. Again, you don't have to do that, but it's a reason to do it, and it's a fun for the fans, and it's not gratuitous. It moves the plot along, it moves the action along, and actually works.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is really hard to do because cameos are really, at the end of the day, meaningless fluff for most of the time. And this, you're like, no, this actually works. Yeah. This is okay. This doesn't feel forced. This doesn't feel fake.
Yeah, and so many of the cameos in the original series were just fluff.
And if you don't know that's Peter Parker and Mary Jane, it's just a group of people standing there, right? Like there's a bunch of other people around them, but we know who that is, right? And that's cool. But they don't call it out or anything like that.
The Easter eggs, if you guys haven't, for listeners that are interested in that, if you guys haven't checked out any Easter egg YouTube videos, I highly recommend it. There's so many Easter eggs, and it goes back to the whole how much heart this show has. That's one of the ways that I attribute how much heart a show has is the love and attention to detail that they put into it. Like with all the cameos and how they are pertinent cameos. When they're looting New York and all these New York based heroes show up. Exactly to your point. It would have been so easy for them to just have regular character models of just random people. But instead they took the time to animate the actual heroes that would be there. And it serves, they have no speaking lines. It just serves the purpose to help fans geek out.
But that's they did a really good job with it. So for the ending there, I definitely want to talk about the end. Because it wasn't sure. This feels like, okay, this is a pretty big story, and how are you going to wrap this up? You're going to kill off Magneto. What are you going to do? I won't say it's a cop out. I won't say that. It does feel slightly anticlimactic that they sort of just get like whisked away. But I guess to the world they think they're dead, right? They don't really. Only Bishop and who was at the end? Bishop and who's he talking to in the mansion?
Bishop is talking to Forge, and
Forge. Yeah, he comes in and he's like, "Oh no, they didn't die. They're lost in the time stream. You have to come help me find them."
Yeah.
So I wish they had maybe expanded on that a tad and maybe like showed the world thought, oh shit, they actually really did die. I don't know. I feel like they kind of glossed over that a little bit, but I don't know. It is just a little nitpick.
I thought it was like they sort of slammed the doors shut kind of quickly, and I kind of liked it I didn't mind it in terms of damn it, like the episode's over, like the season is over, like what? I was definitely expecting some sort of resolution, and it didn't happen, and it makes me more expectant for the next season, because that they're going to do another season the way that they ended it, especially with the after credit scene that we'll get to. But for them to just get whisked away, I don't know if like normal people think that they died or not. I mean, Bishop says something like, "We know where they are, we just don't know when they are." So Bishop must because they're both in Egypt, just at different ends of Millennium. But so Bishop knows where. I'm not sure how Bishop knows that it was Apocalypse, but I'm sure that somebody more familiar with the writing can tell me. But
so that was my question. So I haven't looked this up. I'm sure I could just look on the internet. I'm sure there's 20,000 articles on fucking every website that.
Oh, I've got your answer.
Wants my clicks.
I've got your answer.
So okay, so I know. Cyclops and Jean Grey. That's the Scotty son. They're in the future. That's when baby Cable that's what they grow up with. What's her face? The mother. What's her name?
Mother Ascani.
Yeah. So like that whole, I know that story. The X-Men in the past with Apocalypse, is that Apocalypse miniseries that happened maybe a couple of years later? Is that what that's?
By the way, that was an amazing. Them being. There was it was like a four issue miniseries, The Rise of Apocalypse, I think it was called.
Yeah. Is that what that is supposed to be?
No, I think, and this is again based on several different YouTube videos that I've watched on it, so this is more their opinion than mine, but just what I agree with, is that they have Cable and Jean going off into the future to raise baby Nathan. I mean, there's also a comic series. Is it called Cyclops and Jean or whatever? And it's set in the future?
Yeah. The Adventures of Cyclops and Jean. Yeah, and that's in Phoenix or whatever. Yeah, that's the one where they go to the future and basically raise Cable. And that's when they deal with the Ascani and all that. Yeah, that's that. That's clearly that. But yeah, them going back and seeing the origin of Apocalypse. I don't remember if that's directly from something or if they're just kind of putting together that miniseries and a few other,
So they weren't part of that miniseries. What the consensus I got from the various YouTubings is he's trying to figure out his horsemen. Well, he's
sure.
We obviously, so based on, and I forget which years it in, that whole 95 to 2005 is also jumbled to me in my brain, what came out when. But there's the Salvador La Roca drawn comics where Gambit is Death, and I don't remember which ones were the other
Wolverine
three.
Wasn't Wolverine
separately.
War?
Oh, is that right? I thought that Wolverine was Death.
That's how he came back with the adamantium, right? Because once the adamantium was out, he came back when that's as Apocalypse's Horseman, and that's when he had the adamantium again.
Okay, I wasn't able to remember if he came back as a separate version of Death when Apocalypse had a separate four.
Were they both?
I think they were separate, right?
Maybe they are.
Yeah, because wasn't it? What's it called? It was Feral Wolverine, and then after that, that when he became proper Wolverine again, that's
he
when
might have been War. Yeah, I love how this is such an easy Google search that we're talking about, and people at home are rolling their eyes. But he might have been War. He might have been War. I mean, Apocalypse like famously had so many like these are the final 4 horsemen that he has, and then like sales drop, and they're like, all right, we need Apocalypse to come back with 4 new horsemen, and you know, I don't know how many different versions of the 4 horsemen we've seen over the decades, but it's 1 or 2. Anyway, so and then they show like the giant dome, and so we're not sure if that is Kang and Ramatut related or if it is Celestial related, because there's supposed to be some connection with the Celestials giving Apocalypse his powers. So I think that we'll see that. I think that what they're going to do is they're going to, well, this is like, by the way, the world's like, you know, not hottest take, Onslaught, you know, when so there's 2 things that I remember like that are like,
no, real quick, hold on, just because, I know they were both horsemen. I just didn't remember how the order was. Yeah, it was Wolverine was Death, Deathbird was War, Caliban was Pestilence, and someone else was someone else. It doesn't say here. The third one, post House of M, Gazer. I have no idea who the fuck that is. Sunfire is Famine, Polaris is Pestilence, and Gambit is Death. So that's the post House of M.
Post House of M. Okay.
Yeah. Horseman.
Okay.
Bit for Apocalypse. So it's pulling from. Yeah, it's pulling from
a couple. Well, I mean, just like you know, this series, they'll take they'll take their hits selectively.
And they could also involve Wolverine in that, and that's how he gets his adamantium back, right?
They just conflate those 2 groups of horsemen. I don't think that would be difficult to make Wolverine.
We didn't see any Bone Claws yet. We didn't see no Bone Claws.
I think they'll pull best of the best, right? So they can easily combine shit.
Yeah, exactly. I'm expecting Bone Claws. I'm expecting Onslaught. So the 2 things that were etched in my mind that were like basically they lifted off the comics page was like that issue 25 of X-Men Fatal Attractions when Magneto rips the adamantium out of Wolverine.
It's like that cover shot, like exactly. Yeah. Or the interior shot, like exactly. Yeah.
It's like that
like splash page.
Yes, exactly, and it's almost like lifted off. And then the other time that they have like a lifted off, and I don't remember if it was the exact scene, but when Professor X is blasting Magneto's mind when they go back for Onslaught's like origin, and they're like, "This is when it happened when Professor X was just going ham on Magneto." And this is when their minds both shattered and created the Onslaught entity. That's another one that's like lifted right off the comic page. I'm sure there's a ton more.
The Gambit kissing Rogue scene. That's the Jim Lee shot. That's identical from the comic. The one that they used in like the opening cutscene a few times in the opening
with her hand over
credits.
His mouth.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember that from Jim Lee. I'm gonna have to bust out my Jim Lee omnibus again.
Yeah. No, that's directly from the comics.
Oh, I need more of that. Less hand Rogue. Yeah. So I'm expecting Onslaught. I'm expecting Bone Claws Wolverine. I'm expecting lots of Askani tales as well as ancient Egypt tales. Yeah, man. They just like. They opened up so many more doors than they closed. I'd
love some Ramatut and FF kind of team up. That'd be neat.
Yeah, it'd be very cool. I don't know. You guys are the ones that are much more in tune with what's coming down the pipe. I'm not afraid to get your hands dirty with the spoilers.
We don't know shit. Nothing's coming.
Have they not announced anything? Yeah.
I mean, what is this year is animated wise? There's that Spider-Man Kids animated series. I mean, X-Men '97.
The only thing we know is they're pretty much done with the second season because the voice actors have announced they wrapped up the second season.
Yeah, they said it's just going to be a while. Yeah. Deadpool Wolverines this year. Next year is Thunderbolts and Captain America 4. And that's it, right? In TV wise, they said next year is Ironheart and Agatha. No, Agatha's end of this year, right? Agatha's end of this year. Next year is Ironheart and something else. But they've cut way back.
Yeah,
I don't know if you paid it. If you saw any of those comments,
I did see
for Bob Iger. Yeah, they're Star Wars and Marvel. They're cutting way back.
Yeah, I saw some article about how they
thank God.
They like admitted that they were pushing out too much mediocre subpar product.
Yeah,
and so they're axing some shows that don't deserve it. I love that.
I mean, it's just not special. Give it it's just endless. And if they're all great, even if they're all great, you've got to give people a break. There's other stuff out there, right? You got to let me have time for something else.
Yeah.
And once you fall off, and that's what happened to me. Once I fell off, it's just like I haven't watched anything.
Yeah,
it's the first thing I've seen since Guardians 3, which isn't that long ago, but that tells you how many things I've missed because of how much shit they had out last year. I'm just taking the big break that Marvel should have taken, and now they are. So now it should give me time to catch up, and I'm excited to watch stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just endless. It's like you got to leave them wanting more. It's just if I know there's 10 more things around the corner, it's just not exciting. It's not interesting.
Yeah,
especially when the quality starts to slip. That it takes it all down. So this was a big, this and Deadpool Wolverine should be a big step in Marvel's direction if they can capitalize off what I'm expecting. Deadpool Wolverine is going to be a mega hit. Hopefully this can kind of turn last year around for them.
Yeah, that'd be great.
They need it.
Yeah, I loved. Yeah, I'd say I loved Guardians 3.
Guardians 3 is fantastic.
But then, but yeah, everything else recently has been. It's been tough. But this show was so phenomenal, and it's tough because it's like, my wife is like, "You're watching a cartoon." I'm like, "Babe, you don't get it. You just go away. Just you don't understand how."
Oh, this is all the 40-year-old men just in tears. Are you kidding me? Like this is our childhood.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I described it. This is young Bryce's jam, and now it's current Bryce's jam. Fantastic. I loved how thoughtful the writing was too. I think that there was a lot of just easy hits that they took with the original series, just because they didn't need to try too hard because they were broadcasting it to children. But there was just so much thoughtful wordplay and sincere, thoughtful dialogue and relationships created between characters. They just took so much time to intentionally write very, very well dressed scenes. I'm thinking of the relationship between Jean and Storm. I'm thinking about the relationship between Jean and Madeline. I'm thinking about the last episode, or is it number 9 or 10, with the conversation with Magneto and Professor X. There's so much great, just interpersonal dialogue.
That's a great point. You're right. That last scene with Magneto and Professor X when they're kind of in his brain, right? That feels like that could have been a 1-minute throwaway, quick, in the middle of action thing. They took time with that I mean, they really slowed down that episode to get into their relationship and their backstory, but still keep it relevant, still keep it attached to the current plot. That was that was not a short scene. That they did a lot of character stuff in that they could have easily skipped, right? They could have just assumed the audience knows this. We don't have to get into it. Just more action, but they didn't. And then that is pretty rare, especially for an animated show like this. I was not expecting such a. Leanne was even she was like, "Wait, is that a real song they're playing?" They played when they're in the bar, they're playing I can't remember. I mean, it's a real song. Yeah.
Oh, it's Turn, Turn, Turn.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yep.
I forget the dude's name.
Yeah. So I'm like, that's a lot deeper than they could have got something like this. Again, is this a kids show? Not really, right? The original clearly was. This feels like, they're like, no, we understand the audience.
I think so.
Exactly.
40-year-olds are going to watch it.
Sure, but that's what always makes kids shows good. Batman the Animated Series, a lot of it was kids, but a lot of that stuff was way over our head as a kid. And you look back now and you're like, oh my God, this was actually pretty incredible, right? A lot of those villains, stuff like Clayface and Mr. Freeze, those are some heavy, heavy topics for a kids show that just a lot of shows would never dare touch. And I like that they took this and they said, no, we can age this up a little bit, and kids will watch it, but kids aren't stupid. They'll learn from this. They'll get something out of this. It's very good. It's pretty rare. They don't do that too often in shows like this.
They do not. I hope that they learn their lessons and they realize, like, okay, well, we took our time, we were patient, we gave it proper attention, and I hope that they're going to reap rewards from it, and they get success for
it. It has to be. I mean, just the reviews and fan reaction alone. I'm sure the streaming numbers were pretty good. At the end of the day, the money is the only thing that matters. But hopefully, the right people are paying attention.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm
okay,
curious, because
we hit on something here.
Yeah. I don't know the industry well enough to know, like, this is probably going to be very naive of me, which would be the first time, definitely. Are people, like, flocking to Disney Plus for X-Men 97? Is that how this is measured?
I mean, numbers for streaming, it's all magic. It's all made up. Nobody knows. It's meaningless, right? Like the idea here, I don't know if you saw, right? They're basically, we're back to cable, right? So there's, what is it? Netflix, Apple, and no, speaking of cable, Disney Plus, Max, and Hulu are all going to bundle together. Comcast is getting a bundle with Netflix, Apple, and Paramount.
No way.
Yeah. And so they're like, we're back.
Ad supported.
Yeah, it did ad supported.
Ad supported.
It's not flocking. It's not flocking to. It's not churning. That the goal is hold subscribers, not lose subscribers. Yeah. I don't know that they're going to get more people signing up, because I figure you're signed up if you're signed up. It's just the churn is too high. People sign on for 1 month, watch everything, and then leave. They're like, how can we keep people sticking long term for ad revenue and regular income? So that, I'm sure it didn't hurt. I'm sure it only helped, right? It kept people subscribing for at least 2 months to Disney Plus, which there has not been a lot of reasons to subscribe recently. So this, hopefully is a step in the right direction. But you'd want more projects like this. I don't know how expensive it was, but I can't imagine it was.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know the industry, but I would imagine it's way less expensive to do an animated show than a live action show.
Oh yeah. And I mean, will it draw the same numbers? Maybe not. But is the price so much cheaper and the numbers so high comparatively?
Yeah, I'd imagine
that it's worth it. probably.
Yeah,
right?
I'd imagine.
I think it's just a longer.
Wasn't Netflix doing stuff with a bunch of like anime for a while? Or
they still are. Netflix has a ton of anime. Yeah, but that's a license, right? I mean, they don't make that stuff. That all comes. I mean, they're involved in the production. They're involved in the release of some of it to Netflix for Western audiences, but they don't. Yeah, it's not made by Netflix or anything. They made Nimona, right? They made a couple animated series. They've had stuff that's come out through them, but it's about retention.
Well, I know when I was setting up my daughter's cell phone account, the Verizon guy was really trying to push the streaming services on me through Verizon, and I'm like, dude, stop.
Well, that's because they want you to subscribe and stick paying monthly for those streaming service bundles. Yeah, that's.
So I told them, like, no, I don't need it. Cut it off there.
That's what they want.
Yeah.
And plus, you insult me by telling me ad only and not giving me a discount on premium.
It's all going to be ad only soon.
I pay for YouTube, so I don't watch ads. That's how.
I'm sure it's all going away soon. Not enough people pay for the. They don't pay enough to not have the ads. So I'm sure the ad free stuff's going away soon enough.
No, I think with the transition to YouTube Shorts, I think the ad revenue is more on the short ends, not the long form YouTube stuff.
Sure.
And a lot of content creators are putting stuff in videos that are part of their actual video. So.
Anyway, So I mean, I guess if you had to pick, let's go down the line here. I mean, obviously Brock and Lane, you guys have been quiet and you guys haven't watched the show, but if there's something you would like to see, let me know. clearly a couple of years out, but we got part of Morrison's run. I would kill for Riot Xavier's. I would kill for Quentin Quire and that team because we saw a couple of them, right?
Yeah, well, on Genosha, but I think that a lot of them died.
Killed.
Yeah,
Glob and Angel and Glob, is that his name, right?
Yeah, Glob, Herman. Is it Herbert or Herman?
Yeah.
Herman, I think.
Herman.
And Pixie and
I think
Angel was there. She was at the Survivors tent.
Oh, was she? Okay.
And then I'm certain.
But again, I think they've, they're not willing. They're willing to do some, some more interesting or adult topics. I think Quentin Quire's whole Magneto was right. Was a great comeback from this season of they do the whole Magneto is the right thing in this.
Yes, exactly. And I think that the first time that's mentioned is Quentin Quire's T-shirt. Am I right?
Or
is that right?
I don't know. I mean, the sentiment was expressed, but I don't know that phrase was used prior to that. That's the first time I remember seeing it.
Yeah, it's the first time I remember seeing it too. And so, so I would love to see Quentin Quire. I was also shocked, pleasantly so, at how much adult sort of adult is not maybe the right word, but
mature,
mature content, the fact that they did any Morrison stuff, I was like, okay, a giant death machine killing thousands of people. I was like, oh wow, okay, this is kind of aggressive for a kids show, or air quote kids show. And they definitely say thousands died when it's in the comics. I believe it was millions. So they're definitely little soft pedaling that a little bit, but and Cassandra Nova, maybe she's a little too creepy, or maybe they just didn't want to overcomplicate by having.
I think they're saving her for later seasons.
Well, she's in the Deadpool movies. So.
Yeah, but I also think she's coming.
Yeah, I'm not sure what she would do because this is sort of her main story, and they've kind of put a bow on it. I don't know. I mean, maybe they will. I don't know. There's so
does a mysterious character named Zorn show up at the end of the season 2 finale? Right?
I love Zorn. And they can actually figure out Zorn's story so that he's not 3 different people.
Yeah.
Buddhist monk, Magneto, and then I forget what they landed on it.
How about just the character he was, Magneto, and no one else, and not Zorn's brother Zorn?
Yeah.
We don't need that.
How about Maggot? How about we get some Maggot in here?
Maggot and Marrow to show up.
I would love. I think this is in the original. Wait. I feel like there was a Marrow cameo in the original series. No, maybe not. Maybe not.
No, she would have been. That would have been too early. There's no way she would have been in that. Her and Maggot come out around the same time, don't they?
They do. I mean, it was around Operation Zero Tolerance time when they come out, and that would have been right.
Way too early.
Dang it. Well, maybe I dreamed it because
I don't think. I mean, does she have a cameo in the last season? I have no idea. I don't.
Maybe it was in episode 1 or 2 when they're visiting the Morlocks. Maybe she has I don't know. I'm probably drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm sure. I'm sure that I'm just.
I'd like to see Messiah Complex stuff.
Oh, dude! Oh, dare to dream. I mean, that would at the rate that they're going, though. That would probably be season 3 or 4 of this, right? They have so much.
Yeah. No, we kind of know season 2's Apocalypse. So what's your season 3? What would you like to see them do going forward? Because a lot of Cable loved the season. So
yeah, I would say Cable. Time travel, get Bishop back in there. That could be your 10 episode arc. You could mine enough onesie twosie stories to get through a second season, and then I would think maybe the Onslaught stuff is boiling under the surface for season 3 type of thing. I think that I would have to look at the order that it all came out, but I wouldn't expect Messiah Complex to come out until season 4 or 5. But I don't know if they're going to get that far, because if they're not pumping out a season per year,
just what would you like to see them try? What would you like to see them try? That's all.
I would love to see them try next season with all the time travel stuff. I would love to see some Hope Summers, Apocalypse, Cable, get Deadpool in there. I would love to see that.
I think I saw something, right? They said Deadpool was the one character they couldn't use.
Oh wow!
Oh really?
Yeah. I didn't read the whole comment, but I saw some headlines. Yeah, that there was like, the producers were saying like, yeah, we could use every mutant but Deadpool. That was the only one we couldn't use. Probably because they want to.
Deadpool, famous mutant.
Well, just they want to. I mean, he is. At this point, he might be.
No. We got into this argument however many years ago. So, by the way, for people that are still listening, I used to be on the podcast for a long time. I was on for hundreds of episodes.
Yes.
But it's been like, I don't know.
Hundreds of episodes.
Yeah. Exactly. It's been 2 or 3 years. Anyway, there famously was a bickering argument, which never happened between Higgins and I, where where you were dying on the hill that Deadpool was a mutant and I said that he was not, and I was correct. Now, I don't know if they've retconned him since, but he was famously not a mutant.
I don't remember this at all, and I think you're crazy. What the hell are you talking about? Of course Deadpool's a mutant.
Look it up.
If I have to go back and pull this old episode, I have no recollection of this at all.
Toby, back me up. You know.
Dude, I'm actually not sure.
No,
I remember the fight.
He had like his cancer, and so he went to the Weapon X program. He's a regular dude, not a mutant. And the whole running joke is that like he's not allowed to be an X-Men because he's not a mutant. That's like a running gag that they have. This is like he's always not been a mutant. Google it right now.
This is fucking awesome. I also love that you're having this argument with Ryan twice.
I'm gonna.
Oh, maybe no. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm right. I have no memory of this original conversation. It's incredible. But you know what's funny?
You get to argue it twice. This is almost like a comic episode on the show.
But what's so funny?
Ryan Higgins' mind. You gotta hit the fight twice.
He is officially a mutant now.
When did that happen?
This says X-Force number 32 because he gets reborn on Krakoa. And they give him the X gene.
The X-Force that just came out, X-Force 32.
Yeah.
They give him the X gene?
Technically speaking, he does not contain the X gene. Yeah.
Well, okay. Kids these days. It's the kids that are wrong.
So, you know what this means, right? Deadpool's going to have a second mutation.
What is his first mutation? His healing factor was from Weapon X, not from his mutation.
Yeah, but that's the first part of it. It just solidified all of that as...
Come on, he is a fucking mutant. Like, don't give me that shit. They make him a mutant. He is not born a mutant, but they make him a mutant. I mean, this is the argument of Spider-Man, right? Is Spider-Man a mutant? I mean, kinda, right?
Wasn't there also something about was it a live action movie? Was it a cartoon? There's like some conversation that I think it was one of the Marvel animated stuff where Spider-Man has a conversation with Professor X, and he confirms very wishy-washily that he is a mutant. Mutated, but it's like they're just like, how about we table that one? You're not an expert.
The difference was he was not born with the X gene. He was mutated, but not born with the gene.
But by the way,
he was reborn on Krakoa.
Deadpool also, like 30 plus years old, is only a mutant as of a year or two ago.
That's what it says.
Okay. Fair play. Right on.
So Bryce was right in the past. Ryan is right now.
The most famous non-mutant.
The most famous non-mutant. Yeah, he was. Yeah. Well, so I didn't know about
who's a mutant.
This new update, but yeah, for decades he's not been a mutant. But
I have shipped you that issue too.
You haven't, because I don't subscribe to X-Force.
Oh, you're not really? I think it was the only good one.
I'm not sure about that. But anyway, yeah. So, but yeah, I remember when Deadpool was good. I still love Deadpool.
Now, I think the important question we need to ask Bryce is he pre-ordering that DC versus Marvel omnibus?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what this is. It's so funny, and I say this every time I do come on the podcast, like once every 2 years. I don't have a community up here because I get all my books shipped from Higgins, so I don't go to
this. You left your fucking community, asshole.
I know. I do miss you guys.
Toby still hurt. Right?
You know who's probably hurting is all the Marvel fans that listen to this poor podcast that like not getting their regular dose of Marvel defense. I assume you guys are still a big
Avengers Twilight's good. I've been reading that one.
Okay, all right, that's excellent, amazing, incredible.
I tried something.
Uncanny, one might say. Yeah, but so yeah, I don't know what's coming out. I just get what I get every month, and
it has brand new Jim Lee art.
Whoa! Go on
for the cover.
Is it written?
Yeah, Jim Lee did.
Is it written?
There's two omnibuses coming out. One is Marvel vs. DC, so it's all those crossovers. Everything except JLA Avengers. I think that's getting a separate collection. And Jim Lee did a new Marvel vs. DC wraparound cover for it. And then they're doing an amalgam omnibus of all those amalgam books.
Oh my gosh, that's probably such great reading. Probably so funny to like go back and see what they were thinking.
Yeah.
But he has a cover on that as well.
Yeah, he did a variant cover for that too, so it's pretty fun.
They know what they're doing. Just get Jim Lee to do anything, and then you'll sell.
Hey, actually, Lane, Toby, I don't know if you saw, but he posted the sketches, did the black and white pencils today on his accounts.
Yeah, and he said that it was originally supposed to be a gatefold match.
Yeah, and I think that's why it kind of describes why some of the facing is a little weird.
Yeah.
Like some of the layouts a little funky on that, and I was like, that makes sense.
I didn't want to say it, but
I had a feeling.
I didn't want to say it was his best work, but I didn't want to say it because I was just so happy seeing him do Marvel again.
Well, the amalgam one I think looks great.
Yeah, that one is fine.
Like the layout on that's good. It's just he had to move some of the characters around, and you're like something didn't quite click with a few pieces, but most of it's good. It's just a couple that you're like this looks a little off, but it's still good. I mean, I still like it.
Yeah.
So does Bryce need a copy of this?
I'm not sure. How much is it? It's dollars are spent on youth sports up here. Not extra omnibuses. I have plenty of omnibuses I never read. I have so many omnibuses I never read. This is if there's any kids listening, just consider that you might not read as much when you're a decade older that you think that you're going to read. I have all these books covered in dust that aren't getting read, but they're still beautiful to look at.
Don't tell any of us that. We've all got piles of unread comics.
I was going to say, this is Ryan's business model right now, is sell books to people that don't read them anymore.
Yeah, that's it, because if you don't read them, you buy them even when they're bad. You don't realize. See, it's great.
Well, I usually get a box or two, and in this case it's more, but and then I just go through them all in a couple weeks' time and just crush through everything, and then I let them pile up again for a couple months.
Nice.
You just pile the boxes up?
Yeah, I've got a nice little pile of boxes right here. It's like kind of embarrassing. It was like, so the podcast, are you all caught up with all your books, all your reading? And I'm like, oh.
No, I never asked that. I just didn't know how caught. I didn't know how caught up you are.
No, you didn't. You didn't ask me that.
I assume no one is caught up anymore. It's like, yeah, it's real bad.
Yeah, but I'm about 6 months behind, so it's not awful, but definitely not inspiring.
No. Well, what's definitely not awful, but also not inspiring is this podcast, and we are done. So we're gonna wrap up here. Bryce, thank you very, very much for being back on. We had to get you on and talk about X-Men '97.
Naturally, I miss you guys so much.
You'd love it.
I miss chit chatting with you guys all the time. It's definitely a part of my life that I don't have anymore. So I always love coming back and talking to you guys.
Gotta have reasons.
I think I need to start leaving notes in your shipments.
When are you coming back?
I was gonna say Deadpool Wolverines. Toby, that's comes out when we're in Comic-Con. So like we'll have to catch that like a week or two later or something.
Or while we're there.
They already put up the tickets for Comic-Con.
Yeah.
They're sold out immediately.
Oh, come on, but you know people. You're
just going to show up. You're just going to rappel down from the ceiling.
You know people, man. We're just going to roll up. They're going to right here, sir, Mr. Higgins, right here. Here's your seat. Who are you? We never heard of you. You go back outside into the line. But Mr. Higgins, here you come, Mr. Anthology writing, producing guy.
Is that me? That's me. Yes. You nailed it.
That's exactly
To the best of my knowledge, I have no pull with the people that run the AMC theaters in San Diego, nor Marvel Studios. But I'll double check my credentials. It's possible, but I'm pretty sure I don't.
Put that attitude away. We need the other Ryan that just like, let's make this work.
Now, if it was the Superman premiere, maybe I would. But
Marvel. Oh, now the truth comes out. Fucking right.
Just be like, Mr. Gunn, your friend's here. We gotta wrap up. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Let's do our outros, and I'll give Bryce. What, you don't have to pimp anything. I have nothing for you to pimp. You don't on social media? Yeah. You on Blue Sky? You still on Twitter? You still use any of that stuff? You don't do any of it.
I don't. I found that.
What's your Marvel Snap friend code? Can we get people to add you on Marvel Snap? You playing that?
I do have a Marvel Snap friend code, and if you find a way to get a hold of me, I would happily give it to any real life person that I know or kind of know through the podcast. Because, by the way, I'm a sweat at Marvel Snap. I'm amazing. And absolutely.
I stopped playing that a long time ago.
I love that game. I'm still on the Strike Force, Marvel Strike Force. I'm still doing Marvel Snap. I can't get into Marvel Rivals because first-person shooters are just beyond my skill level as an old man.
I've been hell diving for months, so.
Okay, yeah, I heard that was good. But none of it's as good as Zelda. But I digress. Marvel's better than anything. So I don't have any socials, but I do still have my Facebook. I got on here tonight through Facebook, and I do still have Twitter technically. And so if I check it once every 6 months, and you got anything to say, I'd love to see it. I just can't promise it'll be immediate, but. I love all the listeners and contributors. I love my co-hosts. I miss you guys tremendously, and I miss doing this with you guys. But it's great to hear your voices, and we won't let it be too long before the next one.
Sounds good. Well, let's thank our top tier Patreon backers: Edward at geekyvillain.com, Joe Duff, Kelsey May, Craig Anderson, the Executive Evolution Podcast, and Jimmy Rivera at the Social Forum Podcast. Thank you all very much. Head over to patreon.com/comicconspiracy. Kick us a couple bucks. You can go to comicsconspiracy.biz to purchase comics for us. Mail order, shipping, pick up at the store, whatever you want. My guy Kevin's been adding all sorts of back issues, so a lot of back issues being added to the system. So if you're looking for older comics, go check out that. Meanwhile, anthology.com is where you can see our Eisner submitted anthology if you'd like to purchase a copy. Unfortunately, did not make the final cut, but you know what? That's all right. It was a fun time. Yeah, we did an anthology for
we're Eisner submitted but not nominated book.
Exactly. Yeah, the Eisner submitted. Meanwhile, a comic shop anthology anthology comic. So there you go. Eisner submitted. That's going to be my new catchphrase.
I got my Eisner voting email today.
I did too. If there's any write-ins, you could write in on Meanwhile. Brock's website and blog over at conspiratorbrock.com. Charlie's Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension podcast. Now, I've heard a rumor that they are talking about stuff that's not Doctor Who on the Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension podcast. What? That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing they're talking about other stuff too.
Like
so
what?
Other shows, other things.
That's not allowed.
So it's not just Doctor Who anymore. It's crazy. Everything changes.
Fucking traitors.
Do not miss Kevin's interview series called Between the Panels at fanbasepress.com, which you can read once a month or so when he interviews some cool creators, and his YouTube series, A Page I Love, at the Comic Art Live channel on YouTube. And my wife, Leanne, is at leannehill.com. Her art can all be seen there, and at etsy.com/shop/leannehillart if you'd like to buy some prints or commissions. And if you're on Blue Sky, I am there, Ryan Higgins. Brock is Brock Sager. Toby is Toby XI. Kevin is at Kevin Sharp. The store is ComicsCon Store on Twitter. Bryce is Larsen Bryce?
It is Larsen Bryce, and I'll probably see it at some point in time.
I'm still on Twitter technically. Kevin is still. We're all still on Twitter technically. Brock, you still use it.
I use it a little bit, but no.
Yeah, I check DMs occasionally.
It went to try and change to x.com and I think broke the entire system.
Oh, really? I think I did notice that. I noticed that today.
One time I clicked on it, went x.com, and I was like, oh, this is Twitter now.
Yeah, I think it officially
and then I
moved.
clicked on it again, and it didn't work.
I think it officially moved. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, very stupid.
Yep. You can use the Grok AI if you want.
What?
I sure won't.
Yeah, I won't. I block a bunch of ads every time I log into that, and it says you cannot have ads for an upgrade cost. And I'm like, no, I'll just keep blocking these fuckers.
I just use ad block.
It's great.
Check out
no, they're in the feed.
Check out Geekbox. We missed last week's episode. Ryan Scott's computer exploded, so that's why we did not record last week. But his computer is back to good now, so go check that out. And that is it.
No,
Thank you.
It's not it.
Bryce, once again, for being on this podcast. It apparently isn't it. Toby has a last minute thing to talk about.
Yeah, my music videos are showing at the Harlem International Film Festival this Sunday. I'm preceding a movie at 5:30 on Sunday, and then I'm preceding another movie at 7:30. So here you go.
Nice.
All movies.
Right.
I'm in a block with Stake is High and Gold Rush, and the other one is Return to Your Corner and How to Sue the Klan.
Nice. This is all part of the film festival?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So, Never Hold Me Down is with Return to Your Corner and How to Sue the Klan. And then Damn Thing is playing with Stakes is High and Gold Rush.
That's where?
At the Harlem Film Festival in New York.
Nice. You going out?
Well, I didn't find out about the schedule literally till today. I think they may have forgotten to let me know ahead of time. So I had to wait till the public got to know the schedule, and so that came out. Well, the second they released the first part like last week. They released the second part of the film festival today. So 6 days to book a ticket to New York. Now knowing which actually is my day, is a little harder. So I don't know. I'll keep an eye on it. If there's some crazy cheap ticket randomly, I will really go out there. But at the moment, it seems doubtful.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, if you're in Harlem, go check that out.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm also in a film festival in Canton for the 31st in London. So any international listeners, I probably will not be out there for that either, but I'll be playing 2 other music videos.
Nice.
Get him.
Let us know if you go. Yeah. All right. And now with that,
I have one more thing.
Lane has
there
something.
We go.
What?
I've been hanging on to this for 2 years, Bryce.
What?
This was originally supposed to be for your Christmas present. Let's see. I'm hoping this works over here. My computer. Oh, let me start it over again. Sorry.
Higgins is wrong.
Oh, sorry. Let me.
What?
Yeah, turn it up a bit.
Thomas Magnum, Bryce is right, and Higgins is wrong.
What's that?
This is. I got this a couple years ago. This is actually Bryce's favorite writer, Chris Claremont.
What?
Really?
Yeah, I'll do it again.
Play it again and put the thing right to the microphone.
Where is nobody? Yeah, try it again.
Magnum, Bryce is right, and Higgins is wrong.
No way, dude.
Send it to me, and I'll add it. I'll add it in.
All right.
I love it.
Lane, that is amazing.
Oh my god,
Well,
it's fantastic. I also like the fact that Lane's been holding on to it for like 2 years.
For 2 years.
how do you do that?
That is so good, dude.
Around.
Patience, man. Nerds and patience motherfuckers, man. Never met somebody.
Apparently.
It might have been last time I was
motherfucker.
on the podcast 2 years ago.
Apparently. Well, send it to me, and I'll add it in here. So.
That's so funny, dude. That's awesome, Lane.
All right. Well, that is really it now, I guess, and we will see.
Wait, no.
Oh my fucking!
Bryce, I'm lining it up for you, man.
What?
No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
No,
He's out of it. He's out of practice.
Bryce.
He can't keep it going.
Bryce is good. Another 45 minutes.
There
of
is
this
no
podcast.
Bryce briefly.
Oh.
I know.
I forgot about that. I don't have a Bryce briefly prepared, gentlemen. Sorry, apologies. I'm out of practice. I'm rusty.
Next time. We'll get it next time.
Next week.
Goodbye, everyone.
To quote Thomas Magnum, Bryce is right and Higgins is wrong.